The Rolex Submariner made its debut in 1953, built as a professional dive watch, rugged, reliable, and ready for the deep. Fast forward to today, and it's become one of the most recognizable watches in the world. An underwater tool watch that's stood the test of time, keeping its core DNA intact for decades, and in the process becoming the most sought-after luxury timepiece on the planet. Sounds dramatic? Maybe, but it's true. The Submariner's appeal crosses cultures, continents, and personalities. Rolex has mastered the art of keeping its flagship models timeless, evolving just enough to stay relevant while never losing the spirit of the original. Since the 1950s, the Submariner's design has remained iconic, pairing mechanical mastery with effortless style. And like every legend, it has a story worth telling. So today, in true Exquisite Timepieces fashion, we're giving this icon the spotlight in today's video by exploring how the Rolex Submariner's sizes have changed through the years. The Submariner was Rolex's first attempt to turn a functional timepiece into an item of luxury. Even though it started as a simple and relatively affordable tool watch, it quickly took its place in the elite circle of timepieces that influenced generations of time-telling devices. Designed for diving and outdoor activities, the Rolex Submariner is part of Rolex's Oyster Perpetual line, which includes sports watches that are durable, highly accurate, and resistant to water and corrosion. Here are some of its key features. Waterproof. The Submariner is designed to be water-resistant up to 300 meters, that's 1,000 feet, making it suitable for diving and other water-related activities. However, the earlier models were water-resistant to a depth of 100 and 200 meters. Rotating bezel. All Submariners feature a rotating bezel that allows divers to read the elapsed time from the beginning of any activity. Oyster case. The watch's case is made of oyster steel, a highly durable and corrosion-resistant material developed by Rolex. Date window. Most contemporary Submariner models include a date window that magnifies the date display for easy reading. Luminescent markers. All Submariners feature luminescent markers on the hour markers and hands for legibility in low-light conditions. Automatic movement. The Submariner is powered by Rolex's automatic movement, which is known for its precision and reliability. Bracelet. The watch is typically paired with a stainless steel oyster bracelet, which is comfortable and secure. Triplock system waterproof crown. The Submariner's crown features a triple gasket system, which helps prevent damage to the watch and ensures its water resistance. The Rolex Submariner's history is one of the most frequently shared tales among watch enthusiasts, and for good reasons. In 1953, the Submariner was born, and its story includes fascinating details of how a watch brand defied the odds to achieve unprecedented success. At the time of its production, Rolex had already gained popularity and was revered as the superlative watch manufacturer with finely crafted timepieces. The brand had launched many groundbreaking inventions, such as the first waterproof and dustproof watch in 1926, the Rolex Oyster, the first self-winding movement in 1931, and the first automatic watch to feature a self-changing date indication, the Rolex Datejust in 1945. Before the release of the Submariner, Blancpain's 50 Fathoms, launched several months prior, was the first watch to tell time accurately at depths of up to 91.45 meters. Then in 1954, at the Basel Watch Fair, the Submariner made its first public appearance, pushing that virtuosity further with a record-breaking feat of highly accurate timekeeping up to depths of 100 meters. That's 330 feet. The first iteration is believed to be the reference 6204, though there are still some debates on this. The watch had a black, glit-finished dial and a rotating bezel marked for 60 minutes. It also featured straight hands styled like a pencil, and luminous baton and dot indices offering superior legibility in the ocean's depths. Reference 6205 followed in 1954 and was nearly identical to reference 6204, but had a thicker case and a larger crown. After these, a hotly sought iteration known as King Sub was launched and featured a large 8mm crown with a depth rating of 200 meters. The reference 6538, which is the most revered of all thanks to its association with the iconic Bond franchise, was produced in the latter part of the 1950s. The reference 5508 replaced the 6538 and was the first submariner to house the CAL 1530. Over the next decade, production continued steadily and was mainly inspired by technical advancements, such as enhanced water-resistant ratings and upgraded movements. Despite these changes, the Submariner has remained true to its original design. Today, the Submariner boasts a water-resistant rating of 300 meters, a patented high-tech Cerachrome bezel, a glide lock bracelet, and a date function. Over the years, we've watched the Submariner change and shift while holding true to its roots along the way. Some of the biggest changes that came to market stemmed from Rolex's use of materials. With the Submariner, aluminum bezels were a highlight and common in the early days. These bezels may have looked nice, but they didn't hold up really well in terms of durability. To help with issues like fading, UV exposure, or physical damage, Rolex introduced Cerachrome. Not only is it proprietary to Rolex, but it's much more resistant to damage over time. For added durability, you'll find this Cerachrome material coated with platinum or gold in various submariners. Taking durability one step further, Rolex started making use of oyster steel, which is now a fan favorite choice for many people. It's safe to assume that Rolex isn't done innovating, but they've already come a long way when it comes to the Submariner. Although it's a classic choice that's familiar to watch lovers all over the world, your experience will always be affected by the materials used. Even if you don't have a specific preference, I advise anyone to consider the different materials available for a Rolex Submariner. The Rolex Submariner has been the go-to watch for divers since 1953. Since its creation, Rolex has revamped the sub line with a handful of significant improvements, especially with the size, waterproofness, robustness, and functionality. Now let's take a look at the different Submariner sizes. Between 1953 and 1959, the Submariner came in a stainless steel case that measured 37mm across. The first few years of its existence were a bit turbulent, so Rolex seemed to be altering the design endlessly. 8 known models were launched within this short span, including reference 6204, 6205, 6200, 6536, 6536-1, 6538, 5508, and 5510. The stainless steel oyster case featured a screw-down case back, often called bubble back, because of its rounded shape and the movement it housed. Reference 6204 was the first official sub with the words Submariner appearing on the dial, and the following iteration, Reference 6205, displayed many of its hallmarks. Reference 6205 was water-resistant to a depth of 100 meters and used the same movement as Reference 6204, the CAL A260. However, it featured an upsized crown from 5.3mm to about 6mm and did not have the Submariner logo on its dial. The following year, the Marquis released a small number of Reference 6200 submariners that came in 2 distinct series. The design was pretty much the same as its predecessors. However, a few tweaks and upgrades are worth mentioning. First off, it had a thicker case with a big 8mm brevet crown that ensured an increased water resistance rating of 200 meters. The dial also had a 369 Arabic numeral configuration, Explorer style. Rolex continued evolving the Submariner at a rapid pace so that between 1956 and 1958, the line was significantly revised again, producing the 6536 downsized crown 6mm and 6538 oversized crown of 8mm models. The Reference 6536-1 had a thinner chronometer certified movement, the CAL 1030, the now familiar Mercedes hands, and the red triangle marker on its bezel. The Reference 6538 had multiple versions and dial variations classified as 4-line, chronometer certified, and 2-line, non-chronometer certified. It's also known as the Bond sub because it is the reference that Sean Connery wore in Dr. No, the very first James Bond film. Again, in 1958, Reference 5510 and Reference 5508 were released, and they were among the last known references that came with a 37mm case. Reference 5510 was virtually identical to reference 6538, with 200 meters of water resistance, a red triangle, and a big crown. The reference 5508, on the other hand, was similar to the reference 6536-1 with a smaller crown, thinner case, and water resistance rating of only 100 meters. Both models featured the updated caliber 1530 movement. The reference 5508 continued running till about 1962 and is the last Submariner ever produced without crown guards. The 40mm generation of the Submariner begins with the reference 5512 released in 1959. From this point on, the Submariner attained consistency and looked more like a contemporary sub we know today. Crown guards were introduced to keep the winding crown from getting loose, in addition to the now standard Mercedes handset. The reference 5512, along with its non-COSC certified sibling, the reference 5513, represented an amalgamation of all the different elements that worked superbly for the previous Submariners. Both models were nearly identical, with 40mm wide cases, 7mm crowns, 200 meters depth rating, beveled lugs, crown guards, Mercedes hands, and a demarcated dive bezel. However, reference 5512 had the text Superlative Chronometer, officially certified, above 6 o'clock, while the 5513 did not. Both models were extremely long-serving. Reference 5512 was in production from 1959 to 1980, while reference 5513 ran from 1962 all the way up to 1985. Of course, during this time, there were a lot of tweaks and design changes to the dials of both references, leading to a number of variants. A variant of the reference 5513 even features an Explorer dial, much like the reference 6200. It is the last Submariner with Arabic numerals at 3, 6, and 9 o'clock, making it a highly coveted vintage timepiece. The modern Submariner gradually began to emerge as production of the reference 5513 drew to a close. Tritium had already replaced radium luminescence, and the dials were now glossy black with white gold accents. Another 40mm model is the reference 1680 from 1967 to 1979. The first Submariner to feature a date window without cyclops. It is one of the best-known vintage Rolex timepieces with several iterations. There's a version with the word Submariner printed in red, dubbed the Red Sub, a white version which had all the texts on the dial in white, and even a special interpretation of the same reference 1680 designed for the Compagnie de Maritime Expertise, COMEX, which was never sold directly to the public. Other references with 40mm cases were merely transitional but featured notable upgrades. For instance, the 16800 from 1979 to 1988 was the first sub to be equipped with a sapphire crystal, an upgrade from plexiglass, and a unidirectional bezel. Other 166XX references with different tweaks and engine upgrades came into the market and stayed in production for roughly 2 decades. Luminova usurped tritium, and the drilled lug holes on the cases became a thing of the past. Production of 40mm sub cases drew to a close with reference 14060, non-date model with sapphire crystal, and a triplock crown that came alongside reference 14060M with the upgraded caliber 3130. Finally, the reference 114060 and 116610 supercase models were presented in slightly square cases due to the large, robust lugs, with thicker crown guards than the previous generations. 2020 saw the retirement of reference 114060 and the introduction of reference 124060 and reference 126610. The Submariner collection was updated all at once for the first time in history. The big watch craze was gaining momentum worldwide, and Rolex acted in answer to the trending demand by increasing the case size. The bulky and masculine super case is totally gone in this iteration, and the 41mm cases now feature thinner lugs with elegantly sweeping silhouettes and slimmer crown guards. The case is still around 12.5mm high, but the slim profile of the lugs makes the 1mm diameter increase barely noticeable. The Oyster Steel 904L stainless steel case is finely executed with polished sides and brushed surfaces that give it a radiant gleam. The case back remains solid screwed steel, while the triplock crown ensures a water-resistant rating of 300 meters or 1,000 feet. The reference 124060 is the basic no-date model and is powered by the Cal 3230 with 70 hours of power reserve. The reference 12661X, on the other hand, is the date model powered by the Cal 3235 and is available in up to 7 different iterations. The reference 126610LN has a monochromatic appearance and black bezel, while the 126610LV, nicknamed the Kermit as in the frog, features a green bezel. Both movements provide an increased power reserve of 70 hours from 48 and are chronometer certified with a precision of 2+2 seconds per day. The Submariner is the one watch collection that has remained true to its original design, making it an all-time favorite. In fact, the archetypical dive watch would still be instantly recognizable by Hans Willdorf if he came back today. It is one of the greatest of all and will forever remain a popular choice among divers, collectors, and watch enthusiasts alike. Due to its popularity, the Sub is a target for counterfeiters, so if you plan to add one to your collection, be cautious and ensure you are buying it from a reputable source. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more content like this.